Starting. We're good.
All right. Welcome to our November meeting. Thanks to Interface Systems for hosting us this month. And we'll get right into it with what's new. So first up, we're going to talk about poison tap, since that's been a bit of a big deal here recently. We're also going to talk about the regular Office updates that come out. We're probably also going to talk a little bit about the future of Mac administration. And I forgot to update that to talk about the OAuth 2 vulnerability that was also mentioned last week. So, but first up, poison tap. So, if you don't know, poison tap is an exploit written by someone who's written a lot of exploits, mostly as proof of concepts. He typically does like hacks that are low cost. This one involves the use of a $5 Raspberry Pi Zero device, and essentially what it is you basically plug it into an open USB port on any computer, Windows and Mac. I think it's vulnerable on. I don't think it's on. I don't think it's anybody's done it on Linux yet. But his proof of concept videos were done on Windows and Macs. And basically, even if the machine is locked, the screensaver is locked with password, it will still take advantage of the machine to basically poisons the browser caches and takes over all the computer's networks. Essentially, it advertises itself as a complete network. So one of the things it does is it basically sets itself as the local LAN, and basically grabs all the internet IP addresses, all the complete IP4 range from 0000 to 255.255.255.255, and says that's all the local network, and then funnels everything through that. So then it intercepts all the unencrypted web traffic, and including the auth cookies, and stores them and saves them out. Also puts in a remote backdoor, and yeah. So it's there's more details in the actual articles because it takes advantage of like several different exploits to do all the things that it does, and it's pretty comprehensive. And you'll even see a picture. It's like a little Raspberry Pi device that's a little bit smaller than a credit card, and we just connect it up, plug it into a USB port, and you're gone. And you don't even have to leave it in for very long. You just connect it up, let it sit for like maybe a couple of seconds, pull it out, and go away, and it'll continue to do stuff if you're not there. So there's a couple of other mitigations besides this, but anything that's practical is, at least for the Macs, is turning on the encrypted sleep. So basically where it throws away the file vault key when it goes to sleep and basically powers all the way down into like hibernation mode, so that when you wake it back up, you have to enter in your file vault key or password. And then it does that thing like when where it's shut itself down when it's down to like almost 1 or 2%, and then you have to plug it back in and then wait for it to come up. It does that, so it basically saves everything in the memory, and then essentially turns itself off and then brings it back up. So that is one mitigation attempt. Of course, there's others like putting cement in the USB ports, but that's not very practical. Or turning off the USB devices, like removing the framework, so that they're, again, it's also not practical, but that's pretty much the only ways you can actually prevent this. But it's one of those things where it's he put out the source code for everything, so somebody could use it as an exploit. And there's really no fix for this yet, so somebody could use this in the wild, but I don't think anybody has yet. So again, it becomes, I guess, a question of, this is something you need to worry about right now, or because putting into the encrypted file vault could be very, very annoying for your users. Just coming out of that, I had it on this machine here, and it took about like a minute before I was able to use the machine normally, because it's essentially rebooted at that point. So, so that's one thing you're going to have to take care of. So the links here, the details one is the Artist Technical article describing how it works, and the other one is how to turn on the encrypted sleep portion. And also deal with PowerNap and using PMSet. Rich did it for something else, but that link there points to his blog post about how to enable the encrypted sleep and destroying the file vault key. So you have to authenticate to get in. OAuth 2 vulnerability. So last week they published a report. Said Chinese researchers discovered a flaw in OAuth 2 that allows an attacker to sign into a victim's mobile account, and basically take control of it, including their sign-in, so they can use it. And if that's compromised, then other things can be compromised. Also, if your OAuth 2 account has any sort of credit card information, they have access to that as well. So this affects Android and iOS applications. They demonstrated it specifically on Android, but they did say that iOS applications are susceptible. And basically, one of the big issues is that there's a bunch of third-party vendors who are using different APIs, because there's no, from what I understand, there's no standard API. Or if there is, it's not very well documented. So these vendors are coming up with different ways to talk to OAuth 2 through the server and client, and not all of them are secure. So, and I have listed here a couple of examples that were from the article that I sourced at, where the backend server doesn't check if the received user ID is actually bound to the OAuth 2 token. Or that the mobile app doesn't verify the identity provider's digital signature for the user identity product. So it's like all these things that people aren't doing right because there's apparently a lack of documentation on how people should be doing it. So that's pretty much the flaw there. And that link takes details, explains in greater depth what that is. So, another thing I forgot to put in the agenda, because it came out today. So the Touch Bar MacBook Pros have started shipping. People have been reporting, however, that SIP is disabled on some of these models. Not all of them, and it appears to be sort of like a random sampling. Some of them will come with SIP disabled from the factory, and some will come in normally. So that's something that just started today, and there's a link for that. So, Office 2016, so 15.28 is released. As always, there's usually a bunch of fixes for that, for Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. Any new features will probably be in the O365 version first, since they always get the new stuff first. The volume license subscribers usually get features every quarter, I think. So, and not all of them either. So, because they want you to go to O365. So, and also 14.7 for 2011. So I think, what did these say? Oh yeah, so 14.8 is apparently going to be the last update for Office 2011, and I think that's going to be when they actually drop support for it next October. So we are now 11 months away from no 2011 support going forward. So, and also the Microsoft Auto Update utility is now at 3.8.1. I think the 3.8.1 was just a stability fix. Because there's nothing new that came in with 3.8.1 that wasn't already there with 3.8.0. And 3.8.0 gave you the download and install automatically option. So I think they're working on 4.0 is the one that's going to have the command line utility to do updates. So that's still, I think, a couple months away. And that's pretty much all I have at this point. So we'll just go right into the open discussion portion. So, so we were talking about earlier about, it's not in the slides, but we were talking earlier about Salsago and his position being eliminated with Apple and what that means for the future of automation on the Macs. What?
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, Sal was, I think it was one of the big forces behind AppleScript and then later automated.
I misspoke.
Right, and I don't know whether his being let go means that there's going to be less automation or that they're going to do something else entirely. But on the surface of it, it seems like it's one of those things where, yeah, it's going to be sort of less automation or something where they're going to restrict some things. And going back from our discussion last month about how, Apple's probably going to try and sandbox some things and make it a little harder for people to develop third-party tools at some point, just to try and restrict the amount of shenanigans that happen on the Mac in the name of consumer security and going forward, which will make our lives harder. The whole thing. That, what?
You said both easier and harder. So.
Both easier and harder. Yes. I meant harder all around. Yeah. So yeah, so that's one of those things that I guess, again, the same thing with the call to action on the MDM side, that we need to talk to Apple, we'll talk to your Apple reps, open bug reports and radars and say, yeah, what's going on? I need to be able to do this. And because that seems to be Apple's modus operandi. So we're going to make a change, and everybody's like, well, you're going to make my job harder. Don't do that. So yeah, all the signs point to like some major changes in how managing Macs are going to be done from like even as soon as like a year from now. So.
That's a shame too, because AppleScript added JavaScript support. What, a couple versions ago?
Yeah, I think it was Yosemite.
Yeah, I think it did.
But I don't.
JavaScript for automation.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's actually used JavaScript for automation.
I've heard of people playing around with it, but I've never seen anything.
Right, I think that's one of those things where they added JavaScript for automation, but nobody really adopted it because A, it's JavaScript, and B, I think there was already so many entrenched tools already.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Apple, because most of Automator is still based on AppleScript. It uses a lot of the same hooks. So I wouldn't be surprised if they shifted the foundations of that over to Swift.
Yes.
And then said you could use Swift to automate, or you can use Automator. Those are your choices.
So that might be, you're not the first person to say that. And that may be where they're going. And the elimination of like Sal's position may be more a political move than any sort of like indication that of future directions that Apple would go.
Yeah, I've heard that too, because his team's still there.
Right.
Is it possible to do to embed like AppleScript dictionaries in Swift applications? I thought there was something. Could we do that? Or?
Well, I mean, the AppleScript dictionaries. I mean, I don't know anybody who's doing a lot of AppleScript automation for things that are not Apple-based. Adobe has their own scripting language that they use for automation for that, and Microsoft is not expanding their AppleScript dictionary for Outlook or anything like that.
But they're using I don't know if it's true for 2016, but for 2011, the AppleScript support and Visual Basic support was equal
Right,
because they were using the same underlying.
right, right. So, but I don't think they're expanding their scripting abilities for 2016. I remember hearing Paul saying that that wasn't happening.
I
But I-
2011 at least had really good AppleScript support.
Right, but yeah, 2016
They did a lot of
has anything new.
No, but I mean, I think they did a lot of expansion in the 2011 timeframe, so I don't know that there was a whole lot of work that was necessary to
Right.
expand.
But well, so there might not be an AppleScript hooks into Outlook for things like configuring accounts. But that's one of our things that everybody told Paul that we needed to have. So they've been pretty good about getting us stuff. So hopefully at some point down the line they have a tool that we can use to configure accounts automatically. But that's probably not going to be AppleScript.
I mean,
So-
it seems like over the years, the automation stuff has been really hit and miss from Apple. Like
Right.
even Automator itself,
Yeah, it's
there's
kind
a
of,
lot of brick walls that you hit.
Right.
AppleScript originally had a very different mission that it was, you're supposed to, with dictionaries, you're supposed to be able to have the same verbs for applications that did the same thing. So
Right.
that you could say, tell Eudora to do this, because that's how far back that goes.
Right.
To do this, and then if you switched in Claire's email, or you would use the same verbs and same structure, but it's never really worked out that way.
Right.
And then it's the same group appeared to be supporting all the different scripting languages and the terminal.
Right.
Because
Right.
Sal was involved in the demo of the terminal upgrades that happened last year or the year before.
Yeah, and I think one of those things where it's because Swift is becoming very popular. I don't ever think that there's going to be sort of like an AppleScript Swift bridge like there is with AppleScript Objective-C. So
And that there's been at least 2 different attempts at that.
yeah, and that implementation isn't great. I mean, you can get some stuff
That's
done.
the second.
What?
And it's the second one. I mean, the first attempt was, maybe worse. I used it once in a seminar that I took with Sal at a conference, and there was a lot of people, and I couldn't really hear what was going on, and it was kind of a mess. But I mean, it just really seemed complicated back then, and then they replaced it since with the current bridge.
Right. Well, and the bridge is not even fully implemented because there's lots of frameworks that aren't accessible. And I think there's more frameworks accessible in the Pi Objective-C bridge than there is in the AppleScript bridge. So
That sounds reasonable. So the trend would be going towards either Bash or Python, most likely.
well, yeah, but I think that they're probably positioning themselves to do more automation to Swift, or maybe another tool coming down the line.
We might even have to be concerned about Bash. I mean,
mm,
they're not going to ship Bash 4 as part of macOS, not with the GPL on it. That's the reason. I mean, Bash 4 has been out for how long? They haven't shipped it, and when we had Shell Shock, they didn't replace it. They just
Patched it.
patched it.
So, what we were talking about earlier, Python, the same thing. Python's 2.7. But, are they going to do Python 3 at some point? Yeah, so,
They did go to Ruby 2. I mean, that's one big move that they made, and that was actually a hard break that broke compatibility
right.
for things that used the system.
Did Ruby 2 use the GPL for that?
There's no, is there a bridge for frameworks in Ruby?
Yes, there's actually, all these have had at least 1 or 2 bridges. I bet you might be the only one. But there's different ones over time for Ruby Cocoa,
Right.
and for OS.
Well, we know from our discussion last month that they're not going to make any drastic changes that break things immediately. especially since there are so many tools out there that are written in Bash and Python, Ruby. So, but it's very early. But my feeling is that's probably going to try to get everybody to do Swift, make Swift things. And they may force the issue by not offering any bridges to Swift for other languages. So, anyone else have a topic?
Well, I'm part of me still sees this as a point of concern about the future of the Mac.
Oh, definitely.
Part of me is kind of like, well, we can extrapolate, what things will look like. I mean, we can assume that SIP is not going to get relaxed any further because it got strengthened 10, 12. So, I mean, and the file system seem to be the two biggest drivers
Right.
for things.
Yeah, so we got a new file system, SIP, which will lock down everything more, potentially signed launch daemons and agents.
Yep.
Now it's like possibly, Swift is the only automation language. And then that would have to be compiled and signed in order to run. So I guess they're just trying. I think the goal obviously is to make Mac OS as locked down as iOS is. But it's probably going to take them a little while because there's a lot of legacy stuff in Mac OS. So from the days of when you need to be able to do anything.
Even then, if they restricted, like, the thing I keep getting hung up on is the application deployment, because if they're like, okay, Mac App Store only, that cuts up a large amount of applications, including
Like
at this point.
90% of apps.
Well-
It basically does away with all of that.
Well, that too, but unless you can do,
Software that's not available.
unless you can do device deployment, but even then, you're not
No,
doing.
they're not available here. I mean,
Well,
pretty huge.
Yeah, I mean,
software.
the big thing is Adobe. The Adobe installers are never going to be Mac App Store ready.
Yeah.
Because
And there's
they don't know how to do that.
I mean,
Well, but there's a number of developers, software that's done, it's developed cross-platform that they don't have,
Right.
SPSS,
Yeah.
IGN,
Anything
that's
written.
cross-platform.
Yeah,
That's
anything
not-
written in Java is you can't.
Quite frankly,
Mac App Store.
yeah, they might just choose to drop it on Mac or just stop offering it for Mac
Actually, I
OS
believe you
versus.
can.
VMware Fusion,
Do Java?
things that can pass.
It's way up to
Or
Java,
if there's
but
a-
it's JSP to do that.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, if they made
I wouldn't be
exceptions for
surprised
like
if-
I don't think that's
VMware
true.
or SPSS. They were like, you know what, let's just get it in the store because
I think that's
you
all.
guys won't exist otherwise. Apple would have to make some sort of compromise if all these
Yeah.
developers aren't willing to sandbox their apps.
I mean, when it comes down to it, are we gonna have a Mac that's useful for doing anything?
Right.
If they do all those things, because I know in the organization I support, it's like creatives and developers. That's those are the driving forces.
Right.
And if Apple makes even half of the changes that we're talking about, A, we won't be able to meet
Won't be using
the
Mac.
requirements, and B, there won't be any software to run on the stupid computers. And it's gonna be like 2013 Mac Pro that nobody wants. That doesn't run anything worthwhile. They could have been a much different, more impressive computer that met some needs. It's gonna be like Final Cut Pro, it's gonna be like Aperture, it's gonna be, they keep throwing out markets. I mean, I'm really concerned that eventually they're just gonna step 1 foot too far and they're not gonna have a market anymore. And I think it's right now it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, you don't update your laptops for 2 years, you don't update your desktops for 3 or 4 years, and your sales go down. Big surprise.
Aperture is a good example because they were like, hey, use this, and then just it deteriorated to the point that they just took it down and they were like, discontinuing it altogether. Like the things that they do right are consumer level, iPad,
Well, they're like photos, I mean, they
Photos
replace iPhoto, but I mean, there's still a lot of people that can't use photos, that had features in iPhoto that they want to use, so they're kind of struggling along with that.
I mean, there is Lightroom, if you're missing aperture. Lightroom is a pretty decent competitor, Apple let them win.
I mean, I even have problems with consumer services, like one of the reasons I can't get into photos is because I actually have libraries in different places, and I have to deal with consolidating them all first before I get into photos, because there's no good way to merge libraries into photos yet. And I kind of felt the same way about Apple Music. I have, I might want to have a family plan, when kids are getting older or things like that, but then it's just like all this mental baggage of like figuring out like, oh, how do I go from this setup of Apple IDs that I've been using for 8 years to, to a situation where I can get what I want and have Apple Music. Like, it's just frankly easier to just use Amazon Music or Spotify because I don't have that stuff weighing me down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just recently went through setting up, the Apple ID family stuff for my kids. It's a pain in the ass, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it is not the simplest process at all. A lot of the things in there, especially for younger kids, my kids are 4 and 8. There's not a lot of good ways to set restrictions. There's not, the approval process for the App Store is pretty straightforward. So if they go in there and request something, that's pretty straightforward. That's the best thing I can say about it. I haven't delved into Apple Music with that at all, but that's mostly because my first foray into it was so horrible. I went all in with Plex. And actually, I have better control over what my kids listen to through that than I do through the Apple solutions.
Yeah, I think part of that is that, so they have the Apple ID before identity providing was a sort of a thing. So I think now they're trying to they've been trying to repurpose it into sort of like an IDP.
Everybody has. I mean, think about like Microsoft and Google, and
Right.
everybody have like
Facebook
services on to their existing accounts.
Right.
Like you didn't have to log into Google until Gmail came, and then that came out, and then all these other services followed after it. And then, did it make sense the way you set up your Google account in the beginning compared to the services that you can get now?
Right.
Same thing for Microsoft. Like you got. Started off and you have a Hotmail account that you just carried through, this whole time, and maybe now you've got Xbox Live and everything associated with it. Does it make sense, to be logged into your Xbox, with that account, the same one that you might use for email?
Right. I think a lot of that. There's a lot of like, oh, we have this thing. How can we turn this into a service that happened later on? And so people who come aboard now have it easier than those of us who are like, oh, I've had a Hotmail account for 10 years, and now it's my Microsoft ID. When I just wanted a cheap throwaway email account 10 years ago.
The thing I found interesting is all the Apple ID login pages, whether you go to bugreport.apple.com or appleid.apple.com, they're all different backends. They're not talking to the same line. Like if you go log into Gmail, it redirects you to accounts.google.com. If you go to log into YouTube, you're kicked over to accounts.google.com. Apple runs multiple independent authentication services running completely different code for everything. GSX has a different login.
GSX login is an Apple ID, but you have to generate it from GSX. So regular Apple ID doesn't.
And the training stuff too, certifications.
Yeah. Although I've heard that's all getting collapsed into the now central Apple ID mechanism. Because I had, stemming from my time at Springboard, and the fact that they encouraged us to use our own Apple IDs for the GSX stuff. Like I had to break a lot of stuff off of that because I couldn't set up the Apple Family stuff without stripping out, because my account had gotten flagged as retail. you can't use an Apple ID flag as retail without family. So they had to go in, set my account to some test mode, strip out that info, and once they brought it back, I could do it. But yeah,
The 90-day password expiration is the best too.
I still have that.
I still have that on one of my accounts.
I gotta get you, if you guys don't need Apple Sales Web and don't need GSX on your Apple ID, I don't know if he still works there, but I have a contact.
Was it a year or two ago? It was about last year, where GSX switched over to like, oh, you have to use a company ID if you're, so you couldn't use just a regular thing. So I had to switch off my GSX ID that I've been using since Springboard to my Comcast email address. Now I have that Apple ID just kind of sitting there. I use it for my developer account. So. But that still rotates every 90 days.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't anymore on both of them because I don't have access to Sales Web anymore, which is fine. If you guys don't,
I don't think I have access to Salesforce, or at least I haven't used it since Springboard.
Yeah, I mean, I could try logging into it, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I still had access to it.
can't care about the Springboard thing.
Yeah.
Or the-
Kill access, what?
But yeah, if you guys want to remove it, I don't know if my guy is still there, but I still have his voicemail on my phone. And he's like, "Hey Mike, I removed it from your Apple ID, no longer 90 days." It's great. It's the greatest thing. Every 90 days, at the time I had like 3 iPhones because I was using 2 of them as iPods, and an iPad, and 2 Macs. And every 90 days, all of them would be like, "What?"
I have currently I have 4 Apple IDs. I have my original personal one. I have the one I use for GSX. Now I have my Comcast one. Well, actually, I have my Comcast GSX one. Now I have my DEP one.
Oh yeah, we do have the DCP one now.
Yeah, because for DEP you have to use an Apple ID that's not being used by anything else.
We used to have a separate one for BPP, but when Apple School Manager came out, they moved our BPP accounts under the DEP account.
Right.
So there's just this BPP Apple ID that's just orphaned because it doesn't have any BPP accounts in it anymore.
We're not using BPP yet. But and I just needed this separate. It's all this is just like an alias that comes back to my regular Comcast email address, but I have to create a separate Apple ID.
Yeah. No, I think I've got 3 or 4 at this point.
Yeah. Maybe one day they'll make it easier for us.
Ha! Just about the time they start switching to something else.
Yep. So I had a bit of a scare. So I'm going to be on vacation all next week, and our internal auditors, they've gone in, and one of the things that they asked me about months ago was about rotating the local admin password, because we actually have 2 local admin accounts. One's the JSS hidden account, management account, and a separate just local admin account for tests, because when we do the imaging, they log in as local admin and then do all the things, enable file vault with that account, and then add the user afterwards. We're working on depth to try and streamline some of that stuff. That's step 1. So, so basically, I change that password like once every 18 months. Or sooner if, I hear of too many users having it. Because it's a pain in the ass since we're using that as a file vault entry for IT. Because there's no good way to rotate the local admin password and the file vault password at the same time. I think the only way you can do it is if you run the script, create a new user, new admin user, enable them for file vault, and then using those credentials now, you remove the old account from file vault, change the password, and then re-enable the local admin account for file vault, which sounds like it's a recipe for disaster.
That's sort of more or less the way that Mac Destroyer tool from Google works.
Right.
Which if you haven't used it to destroy a Mac, is really fun. Really fun. Mad props to Google.
So yeah, so I mean, yeah, that was good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, getting back to the thing, so like they talked about that, and I was like, well, that's impractical because of these reasons. And then like yesterday, I got an email saying that you need a remediation plan for this. And I'm like, what? Excuse me? Because we talked about this. And then it turns out it was just because I was, my list was on something else entirely. There's like a group with a bunch of users that their passwords weren't set to expire every 90 days. And I was included as an owner on that. That's what they were talking about. But I was like, oh. And I was like, oh man, what am I going to do with that? It's like, yeah, because that was going to be at least months of trying to figure that out and make it work all the time.
So do you see the local admin account at the login screen then?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, yeah, I considered doing that, but I did not want the local admin account to be seen.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can try and hide the admin account, but as soon as you enable look for file vault, it'll
Right,
show up.
if you're doing file
The
vault,
best,
there's really no way around that.
Right.
the best solution I've heard is to rename your local admin account other. So it appears to be.
Looks like-
Well, that's
actually-
Well, then that would be weird because if you have certain things turned on, you'll get another other.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to get up. Yeah.
Like if you have Find My Mac
It's-
turned on, that you automatically get other
Yep.
added to that
Yes.
login.
You get gas.
And if you're domain bound, you'll see it too.
Your domain
At the
name, you
at the
get
login.
If you're
Well-
on a Mac, you get guests.
I feel like I'm hearing the
Because
first.
the guest is the
stage.
honeypot.
Right.
Log in the computer, use it, you know, Find My Mac,
Yeah.
connect to it.
We're up to bargaining.
So, but and yeah, I know that's one of the things that people were asking about when Firewall first debuted, and Apple's response was, "There's
take
no
that
way
under
for us to do
advisement.
that in this implementation of Firewall." So maybe when they go with the new file system, they'll be able to work something like that. So, but then again, hidden admin accounts may be something that they don't really care about.
They, in 1010, I filed a bug report because in the developer forums, they broke I don't think they broke it, but you used to be able to make your account's ID lower than 500 and that would just hide it.
Right.
And people were finding that when they were upgrading to 1010, their admin accounts were purged as part of the upgrade process. And Apple was like, yeah, we own everything under 500. So they came up with a way where it's like a DSCL command where you say is hidden.
Yeah, and I think it's a flag. Yeah.
I filed a bug report to update the documentation because I found a knowledge base article that said, yeah, under 500 is totally fine. So we're deploying a new admin account with that as a post-install script using a create user package and then a post-install script that does the works out pretty well.
Sweet. It's easier. Just check the box.
I love creating accounts. I was creating some, this is not related to Firewall at all, but.
Oh, yeah, we don't do Firewall.
With the Puppet stuff I was doing, I was trying to get accounts created to access SMB shares. I found I couldn't get them to work with the normal account creation in Puppet. And then I ended up trying like 3 other ways, like the sysadmin CTL command,
Right.
and create user package, and Jamfway, and a couple others, I think. And none of them created an account by themselves that I could use to access an SMB share that had ACLs on it. So I ended up figuring out that if I ended up using two different methods. I don't remember which ones I combined. But then I was able to get an account that could log in correctly to do the same for share. Bizarre. But they all create ones with different attributes. It's really
Well, just a
interesting.
little bit different.
Yeah, they're just a little bit
Huh.
different. Hopefully nobody else has to go through that.
No, luckily we only have 4 Mac servers.
I remember there was, back in 6 days, I want to say, that there was some bug with, that I never really investigated, because I didn't have time, where occasionally, like, a user would lose admin rights. I remember having to boot into single user mode and mount the disk and run all these DSCL commands to add all that stuff back.
I vaguely remember that. I think it was patched in one of the later point updates.
Yeah. Now this thing was like in the early 10.6 days.
Yeah.
And someone who was on an AD bound computer that lost the ability to log in because like the AD allow network accounts was unchecked.
I see that
I
occasionally.
remember troubleshooting that for like a long time before I realized, oh wait, it's in the GUI, I could have just done this. But I was doing all the command line, backtracking.
I had a couple of users who did that to themselves.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that happen a couple of times within the last year. And I was like, how does this get turned off?
Yeah.
What command are they running that accidentally turns that off? Did they actually go in and see that? It's like, I don't want anybody else logging into my machine. Uncheck.
That's exactly what happened. One of them told me. It's like, I was going through and I saw this thing. I was like, I don't want that. Not realizing that they were a network user.
I remember at System 7 that you dragged the system folder with the trash and started taking the trash. That was fun. You're like, what's all this stuff? It's taking up all this space.
On the plus side, when you booted from the system CD, you had a full finder and some Apple script. It was fabulous.
Hopefully.
That's how I imaged computers with system 8.
Just drag the system folder to the disk.
We had a share that had an Apple script on because you could run things from shares back then as well. So we like dragged the different images onto this Apple script droplet that figured out what you dropped onto it and then imaged the Macintosh HD.
Huh.
It was really slick. It also tried to convert all your documents with MacLink Plus. So if you happen to have like full write 3 word processing documents, it would convert them to Word.
Cool.
Was that a side effect or was that just?
We had a lot of people who were going from like Word Perfect and stuff back then. And,
Yeah, they
Trying to
just
save
the way
it
they
out.
described it said, oh, they did this.
Yeah.
We don't know why, but they did this.
No, that was designed in. Actually, we had this whole process designed. There was another set of Apple scripts just to do that conversion on a more rigorous thing. But like MacLink Plus had this habit of crashing after you did so much data. You know, it was like probably about around 100 or 200 megs worth. This is back when a lot of people didn't have enough documents to fit on a CD. And so for some like people, we had to get multiple CDs. But we would go through and this thing would crash, and so eventually we had to code into the Apple script, saving a checkpoint of where you were so that it could, send the right documents, the right list of documents back to MacLink Plus when it relaunched it. Because otherwise it would just keep crashing at the same spot.
Yeah. That I do remember.
Well, MacLink Plus was pretty awesome.
Yes, it was.
That's a really cool thing to do for people though. Be like, you know what? Here's your pile of WordPerfect documents. Just convert it.
Unfortunately, a lot of the reason we were doing it back then was because people were going from Macs to PCs. So, didn't feel great.
In the dark days of the 90s.
In that case, it shouldn't have been possible.
There's like the next version of Backlink Plus after that though was even worse. So at least we got it at a good time.
We've had a couple Mac to PC conversions where people have stuff in Mac mail, and it's always like, I know, now that we've done a couple, it's gotten us to buy programs that make it easier to convert like the Mbox format to PSTs, but it's super painful to do if you don't have a program like that.
I don't know, I always found the simplest way was just to set up a quick mail server somewhere, turn on IMAP, dump it into IMAP and pull it back down.
It's that's a little easier for Exchange through Exchange. Well, it's like IMAP. You don't have anything. It's just a local copy mostly. But if you save anything locally, you just copy it back afterwards.
Yeah, well, even with POP accounts, there were a number of times back in Springboard where we were moving people from POP to some form of IMAP, and I would just, more often than not, we'd have OS X server there. I just turn on the mail server, dump all the locally stored stuff into that, move over to the PC and pull it back down.
All the people that generally have stuff from mail on campus though means that they filled their quota in Denver.
Right. The reason they have it local is because
Because they can't store it server side. So have to call the server guys and bump up their quota temporarily and then wait for everything to upload and then switch them over to the other one and then be sure to download everything and delete it off the server because they don't want to leave the quota too high.
Yeah. Well, our quota is low for legal reasons, not for storage reasons. There's no technical reason why we have
you don't want to be retaining that stuff.
1 gig, 1.5 gig. Yeah, it's all retention issues, not technical storage issues. So, you know, the Exchange guys are like, we can give everybody 10 gigs, it's not a big deal. And the legal guys are like, no.
Can't wait till we're moving to Gmail soon and everything's just going to be unlimited. It's nice. No more PSTs.
You're on Zoomer now.
Yeah. No more PSTs. Anybody that I encounter with the PST is getting all their stuff.
I remember hearing people about like having 50, 60 gig PSTs. And like, especially like in, I know like, at least in 2013, I love 2013, PSTs were better. But like before that, like, Microsoft was like, 2 gigs is the max. For
Yes, I think it was 4. That's 2000.
It was
That's it.
it was 2 gigs through Exchange Exchange Office 2003. I think 2007 was 6.
Mhm.
And then 2010 and later, it was like, I think PSTs can be up to 50 gig.
Right.
And mailboxes can be ridiculous sizes now. Or,
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember when I first started, it was like 2007. People had like 10, 20 gig PSTs at that point. I'd help them if it got corrupted,
yep.
because they got corrupted. Like, was that 10 years of email that you wanted to keep?
Yeah. Oh well.
You're welcome.
Now you don't have to decide what to keep anymore.
Now you feel a lot better with that weight off your shoulders now.
So free.
Yeah.
My favorite was Entourage, because when you would get close to filling the database, it'd be like, hey, whoa, don't put any more data in this database because it's too full. And then, people would keep putting email in it anyway and ignoring it, and then at some point it would be so full that it wouldn't open anymore. And so now all your data is trapped in there, and you can't open it to take anything out.
You keep on saying, you open it, it's like, run this utility to fix it. I'm like,
Yeah.
Come back in 6 hours.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then it would just have you run the utility again.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had to use a script to extract email out of a database once. It was like some free program, it was just pull it out of the Entourage database, but it was all like messed up because the headers were all jumping.
Yeah.
It's not perfect.
I don't miss Entourage.
I just love the idea that it's only the point when you filled it with the most stuff that it decides not to open. Like that's when you want it most. Not when
It's like the Seinfeld reservation.
Yeah.
You're taking a reservation.
You do understand what a reservation is.
Anything else?
I was just gonna tell you guys, my adventure this week has been trying to get 1012 netboot to work since Toysuit doesn't support it yet. Imager now supports it, but Auto MDI,
It's also checking the other MBI too.
I haven't looked since yesterday, so it's entirely possible that I figured it out, but as of yesterday, it totally didn't work.
Yeah, I think it does work.
Awesome. I'll get the image of MacBook Pro tomorrow then, the one that you wanted on Monday.
Well, yeah, where there was a pull request to fix it, I don't know if the version yet.
So 1012 support is required for the new MacBook Pros.
Yep, we don't have any yet, but I have an AutoCaster MDI that I made 12/1 last week, or was it the week before? That I'm still testing. I haven't gotten around to testing it yet. So hopefully nobody gets a TouchBook Pro while I'm away on vacation, because they're going to be in for a bad time. I'm not going to have a good time.
Probably be a VIP.
Hmm?
It'd probably be a VIP, considering they're so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're probably not going to get a lot of them because the budget for this year was already put in.
As it's like right now, we're not buying machines.
Yeah, but different departments, there's a lot of departments that have their own budgets, so they may be able to special order
Right.
and have it show
There's
up.
always somebody somewhere that magically has money for.
Yeah, that's
for
like
the new shiny,
some
right?
department hasn't spent all their
The new shiny budget.
Yeah.
Some department hasn't spent all their money. Hadn't spent all their money yet, but it's a new hardware come out, so some people will probably get one. I'm sure probably next week is when I expect to see the first ones come in at the earliest. And that's only if they order directly from Apple. If they went through our regular purchasing process, I'm not expecting anything until December. This is usually an additional 2 to 3 week lead time when we go through regular purchasing, in addition to whatever availability is as far as Apple goes. So even if somebody did put in an order day one for a TouchBook Pro, they had to wait until Apple started shipping them like last week.
Yeah.
And then figure, add in 2 to 3 weeks for just regular lead time through a purchasing process. Yeah. December is probably the year most I'll see them.
How about the Escape though? Because those have already been out for a week.
I don't think anybody's ordered them yet.
Yeah, but those, I mean, there was no real delay on those.
Yeah.
They're shipping within 24 hours.
Right.
But if you go to Apple's site and try to order one of the Touch Bar ones, for a lot of them, lead time is still 5 to 7 weeks because the inventory hasn't caught up yet.
Both of them require booting from 1012 though.
Yeah.
Even the
Yeah.
Escape.
Yep. No, I mean, my largest Mac client actually just upgraded everything. We finished the last rollout last week, specifically for that reason. They cannot go to 1012 yet. They've got medical imaging software that for the study that they're working on, the SOP specifies a specific version which requires Java 6. So they're stuck, at least for now. But at least they've got reasonably recent hardware.
For what it's worth, hopefully within the next few days, maybe next week. Sooner. Nepu, at least Nepu Imager, I don't know what's going on with this deal, but it's the voice AI service. I really wish I could. I really like the email notifications.
The only thing I use Play Studio for is a completely self-contained, networkless imaging system.
As good as Deploy Studio's been, it wasn't sad to move on.
Yeah. Now, for this particular project, it's the only tool that I had, other than ASR, which didn't do everything I needed it to do.
Right.
It would require far more scripting than their budget allowed. But on the plus side, this week, in the past week and a half, I've had some fun cobbling together an AppleScript application to remove link and download and install Skype for Business. That was fun. I used Shay Craig's Python script to strip out all of the bits of link, and then
Yeah,
it's a batch.
I had written one in Bash like a year or so ago because we were having a bunch of problems. The only way to do it was to uninstall everything and then reinstall Link. So I'd written something like that like a year and a half ago, just in Bash. The only thing I did wasn't in there was the security command to pull the link password.
Right, and it also pulls a certificate too.
Right. So those are the things that my script didn't have.
Yeah.
So, because I didn't think about that until I saw Shay's things. Like, oh, what's he doing? Oh, yeah, I probably should do that too.
Yeah, I got about a third of the way into a Bash script to do basically the same thing, just far less elegantly. And I saw he had done that. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to copy it.
Yeah,
and far better than I could have done it.
Yeah, I already had something, so I just had to add those lines. Because I've done something similar with Enterprise. We'll do something similar with Enterprise Connect. So it has a password change script that you can use to update and exchange the link password. So I'm familiar with that. Those security commands already.
That was something that Apple provided, or you wrote it?
There was a sample script that included some of those commands that I just customized. I think Apple didn't write it, but I think one of their other customers did. They borrowed it and included it in the
example.
Yeah. Yes. If
Anybody else using Outlook 2016 or Link or Skype for Business with Kerberos?
Yes. I'm doing Outlook with Kerberos.
Happy or not?
Both this and it's fine, except for when I wake this thing up and there's no Kerberos ticket and it complains. It says it's Kerberos is not supported.
You can't, the mailbox server you're trying to connect to doesn't support Kerberos.
Yep. Yeah,
Do you ever have it just disconnect and not ever reconnect?
Yeah, I quit it and relaunch it. It's fun.
Yes, I can case open.
But yeah, I see that. The other would go on I have a desktop before I got the iMac to work, so I don't look into that issues because it's always connected.
I've found on
But
a
it's,
laptop,
what's this?
if you've just been asleep, like, say, overnight,
Yeah.
It seems fine. But if it goes longer than that, and, it's like maybe the hibernation mode,
Right.
then that's when it complains the most,
Right.
right? Because it starts throwing up dial-ups. Otherwise, just for like overnight, home and back,
Right.
it only seems to just prompts for the to renew Kerberos TGT, and then it does it and it reconnects. But
Yeah. Because I know Enterprise Connect when it connects perhaps the TGT immediately, but I think Outlook checks first before it realizes that the TGT is not there yet. or something along those lines. The other thing I see now, that I've gone to Sierra, is that I think one of the, I think some of the DCs that are facing outward have, I'm running into that missing subject name bug for certs that complains about. So like there's certain 80 certs that if the subject name appears to be missing, and then the Outlook complains about it. It just says it's not, it's not a right certificate, even though it's like on the window. If you look at it, I had our active directory guys look at it and say, no, it's fine. So, some weird bug there, but that's just me just clicking OK, clicking OK, and then it's fine. I think that's supposed to be addressed in the Doc 2 update officially. Although I'm running the beta on that, and I'm still getting it. So. I should probably add my bullet points to that.
I don't know, I'm just excited that in the 12.2 update, they fixed the bug in SMB where you add the password to your keychain, it prompts you anyway. It'll autofill, but it still prompts with the graphic box. So that they fixed that one.
I've been getting that
The
on
last 2 fixes it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so it'll connect without prompting at all, which is great. That means I can shut down Open Directory at home.
That's nice. I assumed it was a feature, like, maybe, maybe like, I know you have this in your kitchen, but
It's one of those, are you sure?
Yeah.
Kind of things.
You really sure?
Do you really want to connect to this thing, this service?
Afraid I can't let you do that.
Sure you don't have to do that?
But yeah, that's fixed.
like, I was okay with it. I was like, oh, well, the pastor's there, I'll just sit in there. Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah,
I thought it was like a second chance, sort of like, well, maybe you could try another one without having to like add like SMB : / username : @ and then it prompts you for login. That's usually my workaround.
Like last class password dialog for 56 miles.
Because I find too many times I'm on someone's computer and I'm like, oh yeah, I connect to the monkey server and it's like access denied. I'm like, no, not with this user. I'm logged in as them, but not. Don't use that.
Yeah, we had fun doing a little job with having 2 different Kerberos identities and having to log into websites with each one of them. And finally found the workaround for that was setting the right one to be the default in Ticket Viewer for that next website that I connected to, and then go back to Ticket Viewer, switch it back for the next website. So I could have 2 identities.
Is it preemptively set the default for right when
And there you have it.
Yep.
So it's about 20 of. So.
Yeah.
So that's time to buy some magazines.
Well, here they're going to be refreshing the iMac next year.
They're gonna want it.
Refresh the iMac.
Oh, so not before December?
Huh?
Not before December though?
Not the first.
No.
I wasn't waiting for that, like, they have forced the data phone is 60-year-old. Years of change. Mac minis, iMacs.
You can only update one computer at a time.
I have a friend who's due
It's a
for,
small company.
I have a friend who's due for a new iMac, like her iMac's expiring in December, and I'm like, yeah, you should just hold out for the next one, but it's just, she can't, they won't.
What's
let her.
expired about it?
Her iMac,
The app and care or something?
yeah. Everything on campus has to be under warranty, so when her Apple Care runs out, that's when she gets the new one.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna suck. When she gets one, a new current version, and then they refresh it to like January,
Basically,
February.
it's basically a brand new year-old computer, right? Like,
Yeah.
It'll have a 4-year warranty, but
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be brand new, it would just be year-old specs.
Yeah.
Makers.
Well, yeah, Macs aren't that bad.
No, the 5K I
They're
just
just insanely
Your
expensive.
use,
Everything, like, everything's insanely expensive.
Oh, I mean, the logical, I mean, you know, to be a true upgrade from this, I expect that that's $4,000.
Yeah. I saw the syntax. I spent on that. I mean, same with the iMac. I was thinking about an iMac last year.
Mhm.
And like, it was like 3,800, 4,000, somewhere around
So you
there.
get it spec where you actually
Yeah.
want it. It's-
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I got the.
Knowing that I wouldn't be able to replace it.
No, I'm probably gonna have
So
to,
that you have to bump all the specs up because you don't have any upgradability, right?
right. Now I'm probably gonna have to break down and buy a refurb Mac Mini. My kids' computers are, one's a 2008 MacBook, unibody MacBook, and the other's a 2009 Mac Mini. The MacBook is literally falling apart. And that Mini just can't keep up anymore.
I have to replace the 2012 MacBook Pro I have.
Nah, I like this, nice hefty.
I still have a 2011 MacBook Pro in a hinge dock at home.
I don't
Works
use the MacBook
well.
Pro. I don't take it anywhere anymore. It just sits on my desk. So,
Mac Mini is sad. You can't pop it open anymore and just add a dual drive down. You can drive your drives together.
You can, it's just a little more difficult.
I mean, you can still open them up.
Yeah.
I mean, the most I've done is just swap out RAM.
What you want to do is, what you want to do is actually order them with the SSD, because they've got the PCIe SSD, but they still have the port on the motherboard for the for SATA. So you get iFixit sells a kit, so you can get the SATA cable and a mounting bracket, so you can add that second drive because the space is still there.
When you say second drive, you mean the PCIe and a hard drive?
Yep.
So it doesn't have two SATA ports anymore?
No.
You're still buying the SSD from Apple. It's the proprietary
Yep.
connector, I assume, so.
Well, I think OWC may sell SSDs for them.
Oh, yeah. But
So
it's hugely expensive.
It
It's
is.
like $800 for SSD. Because they had to reverse engineer the connector.
Yeah.
This is not in a SATA.
and the controller too. Since there's some funky Apple-specific things that they did for fun. And profit.
Yeah, I just kind of miss being able to RAID one the drives in the Mac. Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like the last time I had a drive actually fail, I mean, it's just as easy to hang a small drive off the side, do Time Machine, and restore to a clean OS.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't have the immediate redundancy, but it's not that much downtime.
I think, there are some other options to go with RAID too. Like, I've set up a RAID where I could have at least 8 drives, and the high point cards allow you to do live rebuilds. And I've tested doing that with volume expansion too, through disk utility. And I don't know that I really want to do it, in production without a backup. Definitely I'd have a backup first if I had enough space to do it, but I was surprised at how well it worked. And it didn't take that long.
Huh?
8 hours.
Still not that bad.
And the fact that it all worked too, like both the RAID card doing the rebuild of the underlying volumes and then the OS, expanding to fill that space.
Right.
I was surprised it worked at all.
I'm gonna kill this because I'm almost out of battery.